All right, let's go through what we understand to be the actual charge, all right? Because that's what's really interesting. This is it. This is what the verdict is going to come down to, this and the verdict form. As the audience knows, it's a business records case. It's the principal charge is that Trump falsified business records in the first degree. Again, all of this has my caveat that I said at the top. This is what we think the charge was. We weren't in the room and I wasn't taking shorthand listening. Okay, the first count pertains to, well, they have multiple pieces of business records. They have the invoices from Michael Cohen. They have the checks as written out by Trump. And they have the internal Trump organization business legal expenses record. But none of this was ever shown to anybody, by the way. None of it. Who was defrauded? The Trump books were defrauded. They never circulated these documents to anyone. They sat on the shelf at Trump Tower. That's who was defrauded, the Trump books. We know that now with the case having closed. Okay. Falsifying business records pertains to an invoice, for example, from Michael Cohen. Okay. Under our law, a person is guilty of falsifying business records in the first degree when, with intent to defraud, that includes an intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission thereof, the person makes or causes a false entry in the business records of an enterprise. So, did you falsify a business record with intent? Intent to, in this case, conceal the commission of another crime. Did you falsify the record, and did you do it with intent? Yeah, and there's two parts. And did you do it with the intent to either commit another crime or to conceal one? Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. To help people understand, there's the misdemeanor and then there's the felony or not guilty. So the misdemeanor, he had to have the requisite intent to falsify records. Okay, there's your misdemeanor. But then it had to be done with the intent to conceal or commit this other crime. So they can find that, well, it didn't get to that point. He did it to hide it from his wife, or he did it because he has a brand and he doesn't want it getting out there that he allegedly, the story even, that he had this crazy type of liaison with this porn star. If they find that, then there's no felony. The question is, did we get to the first part? And that involves Cohen. I think you have to believe Cohen to get to that part.
Well, first of all, the defense spent more than half of its closing trying to prove there was no falsification. That is a big element. Was a business record falsified by Donald Trump? But of course, the other piece of the charge is, or did he cause the falsification, which is good enough. And
with the intent, though, he had to have.
Yes,
the requisite
but I'm just saying, like, it's not just that Michael Cohen submitted the invoices. The prosecution's argument is, yes, Michael Cohen submitted the invoices that were incorrect, but Donald Trump told him to do it. They sat down together, Cohen, Weisselberg, and Trump, at a meeting preceding all of this. They came up with a scheme, that's their word, by which Michael Cohen would falsify the reasons for which he was getting these repayments, which were repayments and not payments for go-forward legal services, as the Trump defense contended. Arthur, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, just don't leave out, because this is really what hurts Trump the most, in my opinion, is the acting in concert charge. So in other words, the prosecution doesn't need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump made out the checks, that put them in the books, filed them away. They have to prove that he acted along with others. So if Michael Cohen came up with the scheme and Weisselberg did the books, that's enough. They don't need to prove that Donald Trump actually was the hands-on participant.
Okay, so they go on. So the falsification, we've heard a lot of evidence on. The defense attorney went through all of it yesterday. It was a legal expense. Yes, he wrote per a retainer. There was a retainer to make Michael Cohen do legal services in 2017. No, it wasn't written down. It had never been written down in Michael Cohen's history as a lawyer for the Trump organization. They never had a written retainer. So it's not unusual they didn't have one in 2017. And indeed, he did do some work.
Just for the record, Megyn, that is a violation of the rules of ethics in the state of New York. Anything over $3,500 has to have a written retainer. Just for the record.
shocked these two violated the ethics.
I'm sure Trump knew that. Come on.
Sure.
He didn't know
No,
that.
no, but
Shocked
Michael
Cohen.
Michael Cohen could have done that. I mean, if I'm the defense attorney, I would have thrown him under the bus for that.
That's the least of that guy's sins. That's the least.
Right.
Okay, but anyway.
Pile him on.
No, but the defense is the defense didn't throw him under the bus on that because Cohen is saying there was no retainer. It's a lie. It's the defense that's saying, no, it wasn't a lie. There was one. It was just oral. Anyway, okay, so Trump is claiming he did do some work for Trump in 2017 while Trump was president. Minimal, but he did some. And it was a fee to keep him on retainer. Like Arthur, you and I used to have this representation. You and Marianne represented me on some stuff, and I would pay you a certain amount every month. You weren't necessarily doing a bunch of legal stuff for me every month. I have this within, this is something people do. You keep a lawyer on retainer. Anyway.
I didn't violate attorney-client privilege right there. You did, so
I did it. It's fine. So that's Trump's argument. The prosecution says it's BS.
Megyn, I'll charge half. Come on.
Okay. he was local, Mark. The prosecution says that's all BS. Michael Cohen did negligible work for Trump and the organization. It was like he looked into one copyright. He did not get paid $260,000, the 130 times 2, for that BS. Nor was it important to Trump to keep this lawyer on staff just in case he needed him. Trump is a cheapskate. He wouldn't have paid those kinds of monies to Michael Cohen just to keep him on staff for some random legal call. It's a lie. It was repayment. And they show the notes from Alan Weisselberg and the Trump organization CFO in his handwriting, sketching out the math, like the 130 plus the 50 to reimburse Cohen for this payment he made to a polling firm, plus another piece of it, and that added up to the $420,000 that was repaid to Cohen over the course of those months with Trump's handwriting on the checks. All right, so that's falsification. Trump's got a shot on that. He's got a shot on the falsification. They may find they wrote down legal expenses. They were paying a lawyer to reimburse him or not. Those are legal expenses. We're good. And that would be the end of the case.
Megyn, I like the idea that Trump even said it himself. If it was going to be fraudulent, I didn't want anybody looking at it. I put down construction costs. I put something that was so different that nobody would even know. Legal is in the arena of acceptability, probably more than campaign expense. I find this not to be a campaign expense. More
right.
of a legal fee than that.
You're totally
Mark,
right.
Since you brought up construction costs, the analogy I would have made to the jury is we all know that Donald Trump is a developer. You think when he has to write out a check for $100,000 or $1 million to the actual contractors who's putting up one of his skyscrapers, because now I'm getting into his background a little bit to the jury. You think he breaks it down item by item? $100,000 for cement, $100,000 for bricks, or do you think he just puts down $1 million construction expenses for 123 Main Street? The same way he did with Michael Cohen. He put it down. This was the amount of money, legal expenses. Michael Cohen handles it. He's handling the money. It's his money. He wasn't trying to falsify anything.
I like that argument. I'll go one step further. I don't think when Donald Trump is spending money on construction costs, he's in the weeds deciding how to label it. I think the best argument here is fix it, Mr. Fixer. You deal with it, Cohen. And Cohen decides how to label it. He has a guy with a lawyer degree who's supposed to put things down and do it legally. The only way that you prove that Trump was in the weeds and he knew precisely with evil intent that what he was putting was false was from Cohen. How dare the prosecution claim that this case is
That's
about
where
Cohen.
Trump not testifying. That's where Trump not testifying in the minds of the jurors might hurt him. Mark and I both tried cases and we didn't get the result we wanted. And in the hallway, the jurors tell us afterwards, well, if your guy really didn't do it, why didn't he tell us? Well, he doesn't have to under the law. Okay, but in the world that we live in, we like to hear both sides of the story. So if Trump didn't know, why didn't he take the stand and just tell us, look, I was being the president of the United States or running for presidency. I just said, deal with it. And they dealt with it. And I had no idea.
Okay, but
why didn't we?
What about Weisselberg? Weisselberg is the key to all of this. The Trump CFO, He's in Rikers. We talked about this last time. He's literally in jail right now for other alleged crimes not having to do with this. And the prosecution didn't call him. The prosecution did not call him. And so what would you have done with that, Mark? Because I've heard people like Dershowitz has been saying they should have asked for like an instruction to the jury that they could draw an adverse
here's what you
inference
can't
from
do.
this.
You can't do what you want to do. How dare they not call him? It shows that they're afraid of what he would say. It would help exonerate my client. You can't do that because you equally have access to subpoena power, and you could have brought him to court. In fact, there's an
he would have just
instruction-
he would plead the fifth if the defendant called him. Only the state can immunize him.
Correct, but you can't make the argument if you didn't try to subpoena him and call him. You can't.
In New York, you absolutely can. In New York, I don't have to prove anything to you, folks. They have the burden of proof. Where's Weisselberg? I would have had a stand-up cut-up of him. You know, folks, when we played the game as kid, where's Waldo? Where's this guy? They made it was. I think it's what is number 35.
You don't have a Halliburton.
Where is he? Where is he?
We have an instruction. We have law here in Florida. You can't do that. You're not allowed to.
New York, you
say,
can.
why didn't they call witnesses? So we have that here. If you can do it there, then absolutely that should be done.
So why didn't they do that? Arthur, why didn't the defense get up there and say, where is he? He's the crux of this whole thing. Where's Keith Schiller, the bodyguard? He's the one who was allegedly there, who handed his phone to Trump so Cohen could say, payment complete. I took care of it to Stormy, boss. Where's Schiller? Where's Weisselberg?
It's just me and you and Mark talking right now, right, Megyn? I can be honest about what didn't happen. I go out of my way not to speak poorly of any other lawyers. And by all accounts, Todd Blanche is a smart person who's a really nice guy. I believe this is the first time he is giving a summation in a state trial. He is trained as a federal lawyer. And the federal court is much different. It's much more dainty. It's much more like having a pleasant parlor conversation with scones and tea. Going to the state courthouse is rough and tumble stuff. Yes. We say things in state court because the defense is allowed to put on a defense in state court. Where it's federal court, you're not really allowed. You're just supposed to go in and plead guilty. So I don't know why he didn't say it, but I would be shoving it up their nose. But they have the burden of proof. They're the ones who are supposed to call Weisselberg. They're the ones who are supposed to tell you what this piece of paper is. They want you to take away someone's liberty by guessing what all these numbers mean, as opposed to using their power to put him on the stand and have them explain to you what they mean. And why didn't they? Because they're afraid. Because he doesn't fit their narrative. That's why you didn't hear from him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you'd say. You don't think they went down to Rikers and had a talk with Alan Weisselberg to figure out whether he had a story that would help them, or called Keith Schiller, the bodyguard, to figure out whether he would verify that he handed that phone to Trump? You know they did that. Of course they did that. And they didn't get the answers they wanted, which is why those two guys didn't testify. It all comes down to Cohen, the gloat. Do you owe back taxes? Pandemic relief is now over. Along with hiring thousands of new agents and field officers, the IRS has kicked off 2024 by sending over 5 million pay-up letters to those who have unfiled tax returns or balances owed. Don't waive your rights and speak with them on your own. Tax Network USA, a trusted tax relief firm, has saved over $1 billion in back taxes for their clients, and they can help you secure the best deal possible. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, they can help you. Whether it's business or personal taxes, even if you have the means to pay or if you're on a fixed income, they can help finally resolve your tax burdens once and for all. Call 1-800-245-6000 for a private free consultation or visit tnusa.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.